Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to another edition of the Review Grab Bag, where I, Warren Hayes, will review a couple of wrestling matches that happened recently that I finally got around to watching, that were suggested to me or that I was looking forward to. We did it once, turned out pretty good. Why don't we do it again with this edition of the Grab Bag? But just before we get into the nitty gritty, I will remind you very simply here, very nicely with a smile, to like this video here on YouTube. It does help get more eyeballs on the video, and subscribe as well if you like this type of content where people actually talk about pro wrestling as opposed to all the ancillary stuff, like the things that happen in the ring. If you like to talk about that, well, this is the series for you. I'm your guy, so subscribe to the channel and do the bell gimmick and all of that, and that way you won't miss a single edition of the Grab Bag, plus, the other stuff that I do here, which isn't like the Grab Bag, but, maybe your Grab Bag is your entry point. So we're going to talk about what I do with the Grab Bag as opposed to everything else, the live streams and whatnot. But here's the final little kicker here, the final little thing about the pitch that I'm doing here is that if you become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, you will have access to the Grab Bag way before everyone else does. And not just the Grab Bag, pretty much everything that I pre-record, like show reviews and the like, these are all available in early access to members only of the channel. So voila, there you go. I've went through everything I have to offer. Might as well get to my notes and get to talking about some wrestling matches, because that's why we're here. And I am going to open things off here with a recommendation that came to me from Mike Spears, who is the co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. So, if you know what type of podcast that is, well, then you know that it's a Dragon Gate match that was probably recommended. And it is, in fact, a Dragon Gate match that I'm going to talk about. One that happened on November 3rd at the night 2 of the Gate of Destiny show. It was the Open the Twin Gate title match, where Yuki, Yoshioka, and Dragon Dia defended their titles against Jacky, Kamei, and Riiita. And this was an absolutely phenomenal tag team match. Just an incredible pace that picked up really, really quickly. Early on, we're getting dives, we're getting topes and tornillos, and a great control period with Dragon Dia and Yoshioka, with a lot of double team maneuvers. And it's just everything flows so well in this match. Everyone is so good, and they have just an incredible chemistry, because everything they're doing is just flowing seamlessly. It's like watching waves roll off the ocean and onto the beach. It's just like, it's almost soothing to a degree, where you're just completely amazed at how incredible everything is just coming together in this match. Now, there is a sequence in particular that happens about mid-match, which is absolutely tremendous. Look, I wrote them down in my notes, okay? And I'm going to try and make it justice, okay? Not that I necessarily want to break down move per move everything that happened during the match. That's not necessarily what I want to do. But this sequence here, which just naturally that just kept going, like I said, like a flow, like an ocean, like the waves of the ocean, just moving in from here. Let me try and make it justice here. I probably won't. My best suggestion will be to go give it a watch. But listen, this is what we have here. So we have Jacky Kamei. He whips Dragon Dia into the corner. Dragon Dia dodges a charge that follows up. So Riiita runs in to get Dragon Dia, who dodges again, and Riiita then accidentally spears Jacky Kamei. Dia splashes Kamei over Riiita, like right over him, you see, and then Sunset flips Riiita using the momentum as he's coming off the splash, right? So this is all happening in the corner. I'm trying my best here to try and make it vivid, but I'm probably failing, but we're not done. This is the sequence is not done. Riiita then immediately, after the sunset flip, he immediately eats a German suplex by Yoshioka, who was there waiting for him, and then Yoshioka places Kamei up on the top turnbuckle. He climbs up. Kamei just strike rights him right in the mouth. Daya climbs up then and does a springboard Frankensteiner, which was fantastic. Covers. Riiita hops like directly on top of Daya to break up the pin and uses that momentum to carry him through a crucifix bomb onto Yoshioka, who was, not involved in this pinning combination. And then Yoshioka pushes out and then DVDs Riiita in the same fluid motion. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Again, like I can read through this like I'm fucking, like it's fucking story time at the library, but it doesn't give it any justice. You have to check this out. It was absolutely phenomenal. And there's more all throughout this match. There's more high octane, creative sequences and offense between these guys. And the pace picks up. It just doesn't let up. Insane back and forth with everyone. And it ends with a poison rana by Riiita on Dragon Daya and a code red for the win. Just an absolutely phenomenal match. It's one of these things where, you have, look, at its very basic core, right? You look at it and you say to yourself, these guys, pro wrestling is so easy because it's so effortless for all these four dudes. And then you take a step back and then you start to realize just how much craft and intelligence and creativity has gone through this entire match. You're not seeing the same old tired tropes. You're seeing guys who are trying out stuff, who are creating these flowing moments, which is like everything just like seamlessly rolls into the next. I was floored with how great it was. You absolutely, now you have to trust me on this. You absolutely have to go out of your way to watch this match. And it's I think it's like, it's 20-minute tops. Look, whatever it was, it just flew by. You will not, it might have been 30 minutes for all I know, but it felt like 20. Just a wonderful, absolutely bonkers match. It might even be less. I don't know. I just have a great memory of the match, but and you should build some memories about that match as well. It's free, available for free on YouTube on the Dragon Gate channel. I'll put the link in the description for you to check it out. I think everyone should. If you're a wrestling fan, you should watch this match. This is a 4.5-star tag team match. It was absolutely remarkable to see guys get this creative with in a high octane, fast-paced match. Let me tell you. There weren't many sleeper holds in this one. I'll tell you that. Go check it out. Go watch Riiita and Jacky Kamei win the Open the Twin Gate titles off of Dragon Daya and Yuki Yoshioka. It's just a fantastic match. Let's stick around in Japan and go to Tokyo Joshi Pro, who held their All Rise 25 show on November 9. And we're going to be talking about the main event. We're going to be talking about the Princess of Princess title match, where Miu Watanabe successfully retained the title against J-Rod. I don't know if you know of J-Rod. It is not someone who is affiliated with the New York Yankees. She's a pro wrestler. I believe her shoot name is Jessica Rodan would be cool, working in Japan and, being called Rodan. I think that's pretty wild. That's pretty rad, actually. But no, she's of course I'm digressing here, but no, she's a pro wrestler. Maybe some of you have heard of her work in Ohio Valley Wrestling. She's been on dark matches for AEW. She's been around for a bit, and currently she is an American Gladiator. And her whole thing, her whole shtick is that she's the perfect athlete. I think that's what she calls herself. I forgot to write it down. I think that's what she calls herself, like the perfect athlete or the top athlete. Because look, she's a big, strong lady, very muscular, very athletic. And boy, oh boy, does she contrast standing next to little Miu Watanabe there. Like, I don't know how tall she is. She's very tall. She towers over most of the the girls in Tokyo Joshi Pro. So, she just immediately stood out watching this. And this was, I guess, the essence of the match, the mismatch, like the complete and utter mismatch between Watanabe and J-Rod. That was, without a question, the attraction, but it wasn't really built in a David and Goliath type of situation. It's more like, well, it came more along the lines of Miu has a mountain to cross. That's more or less how it came across as opposed to, let's say, J-Rod dominating the majority of the match and then Miu squeezing out a victory, which is, I guess, how you might typically book this in North America. That would be, if you were to book this type of match in North America, that's typically what you do. That's clearly what you do. But in this circumstance, plus, being the Princess of Princess champion, well, Watanabe's she's the top wrestler of the company, so she's not going to just allow. We're not just going to allow her to get thrown around and have and then squeeze by at the end. She is the champion after all. Overall, I thought this was a good match. I thought this was pretty good. It's crazy because I think I kind of feel like every time I see Watanabe wrestle, I always feel like she's improved her game. And look, maybe I should have said this from the start, just to be super duper clear here. The Tokyo Joshi Pro is not my speed. It's not my preferred promotion. It's not something that I will necessarily chase down for multiple reasons. A lot of it has to do with the presentation. It's a promotion. It's a promotion that in a lot of circumstances makes me feel weird to be watching it, if that makes sense. Maybe some of you feel that way. And I'm not, this is not a thing where I'm being judgy, because if this is for you and you're up and you enjoy what's going on there, that's tremendous. The idol stuff and whatnot. Me, I'm kind of like, it's more of a very, very personal taste, other than, or not, not other than, but it's definitely not me saying this is trash and shouldn't happen. No, it's fine. Like I understand the appeal, and they've got some really good wrestlers too, right? I enjoy myself some Shoko Nakajima. I think she's always been tremendous. I think for the longest time, I think she's been the best wrestler that promotion has. And Miu's always been good, and she's always been quite good. But I think she's starting to get into the category of very good. I don't see her all that often, like I said, but from the matches that the evolution of matches that I have seen her participate and partake in, I'm like, yeah, you know what? She's really coming full circle on a lot of things, and she's not as light, and this is weird saying that to someone who is, petite, but her offense doesn't feel as light as a lot of other wrestlers in TJPW, where they can't seem to get that impact across, that oomph, because of the size, right? And I find that Miu's stuff is starting to look much more impactful. It's much more focused on, okay, well, I do the cutesy thing. Apologies if I'm being disrespectful here, but I'm doing the cutesy thing, coming to the ring, with the hand gestures and the mugging into the camera and all of that. But then when it's time to wrestle, it's kind of all business, and I appreciate that. And I do feel that she's all business now, or at least she was all business in this match. Like, she had no room to not be all business in this one here, because otherwise J-Rod would have eaten her up. Look, I thought the match, like I said, was pretty good. It's nothing great. I watched it out off of a recommendation where someone told me you need to watch this because I thought it was really great. I thought it was really good. I wouldn't call it a great match, but I thought both women looked very good here. I thought this was a very smartly put together match that sort of broke the trope, at least that I was expecting, that J-Rod was just going to toss Miu around, which he did, by the way. Like, she's not going to take a little, a 90-pound wrestler and not throw her around, while she's jacked to the gills. Like, she's not going to do that, but she was very good. And, one thing that J-Rod does get in this circumstance here. She understands how to work the crowd. I think she was a very effective heel here. I think she was able to get like that heel connection with the crowd. I loved the pin that she did. She had a pinfall at some point in the match where instead of just doing a plain old cover, she does push-ups like off of Miu's chest, which I thought that was fantastic because that's part of her gimmick too. She's doing the jumping jacks, she's doing the push-ups in the ring, but doing the push-ups as a pinfall attempt, I thought that was pretty good. And I mean, she does, she has a great jackknife powerbomb. I think like she has offense that suits her size. And then Miu, well, she didn't really struggle all that much with the size difference. And again, it's not necessarily a problem. I kind of appreciate how this was booked, but it's not as if you were watching a Stardom match and you had like Azumi versus Bozilla kind of thing, where Bozilla is going to be no selling most of the match. J-Rod took a lot of offense and she ate a lot of offense and she got dropped. She even ate Watanabe's giant swing as well. And Watanabe was just picking her up on her shoulder because that's what her finisher is, right? I don't know exactly what it is, but she has to pick her opponent up and drop her from her shoulders. So I'm like, okay, wow. I guess it wasn't much of an issue. And they strike each other and they trade rolling forearms and Polish hammers and stuff like that. And it's not what I was expecting. To a degree, I thought it was kind of refreshing. And clearly establishes that in Tokyo Joshi Pro, it's not a question of size or strength that will get you across. I guess it's a heart. I'm assuming. Look, if you are the type of person who absolutely cannot suspend your disbelief in this regard, this match is not for you. Look, it was good enough. I don't know if I'll recommend outright that you seek it out. It's a 3.5-star match, I'd say. And if that's good enough for you, well, please go and indulge. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very decent main event. And I'm, usually this would typically mean that I don't know how long J-Rod has left on her tour in Japan. But if she's fighting the champion and losing, that's usually a sign that the tour is up. I don't know what's next for her, but I'll be honest, I'm very curious as to what her future might entail. Because look, would she be welcome in an environment like AEW? I think so. Sometimes I wonder how much Tony is able to book larger wrestlers, because he's not. I find he's not particularly good at booking big men. I think he's done a very good job with Megan Bayne. Now, would he want someone else whose gimmick is size and power to come in? And then he'd have two powerhouses. He'd have Megan Bayne on one side and he'd have J-Rod on the other. Yeah, well, that's a question that only Tony Khan can answer. But I think there could be something that you can do. I think there's something that you could do there, absolutely, with J-Rod. WWE would absolutely be a very good fit for her. In fact, she would, if they were to start her off in NXT or whatnot, she's already better than a shit ton of NIL recruits and PC trainees that they have. Like she's already heads and tails over a bunch of them. And she has the size, she has the charisma. That might be a stop for her as well. Look, I don't know. I'll be very curious to see what her next moves are. But I wasn't particularly familiar with the work of J-Rod, and I'm excited to see what future endeavors she will get up to. Anyway, enjoyed the match, 3.5 stars, and I've said that already, so since I'm repeating myself, let's move on to another match, and we're going to head on over to CMLL, one of my favorite promotions in the world right now, if not my favorite. Arena Mexico, the Friday show, November 7th. Main event was Atlantis Jr. and Titan versus Soberano Jr. and Angel Del Oro. De Oro, not Del Oro, De Oro. This was a notable match for me because it was the return to Arena Mexico on Friday night for Soberano Jr., who had been out with injury for the better part of the year. And Soberano Jr. is one of my favorite luchadors. I think he's phenomenal as far as being a rudo goes. This is a guy who, for the first part of his career, was absolutely a technico. And I think it was last year, or was it the year before? Are we 2 years into it, or just 1 year, or just scooching over a year? I can't quite remember. I think it was last year. They finally decided to make Soberano Jr. a rudo, and he has blossomed in that role. Like, he literally has become someone completely different and so incredibly charismatic. Like, he owns being, a villainous type in CMLL. He got injured, was it late last year or early this year? I think it was earlier this year. And he was out about 7 months. So I was excited to see him back because I think his work is extremely, extremely entertaining. He's not the flashiest. He's not he's not a mascara dorada. He's not a neon, but yeah, whatever he doesn't do in regards to high flying, spectacular athletic stuff, he more than makes up for it in crowd connection, in heeldom, in charisma. I think he's one of the more entertaining parts of CMLL's lineup, their roster. I think he's phenomenal. And look, this was a very, very good tag team main event. The standard 2 out of 3 falls situation here. Of course, the first fall ends with the Rudos getting the pin, which had a really fun opener where all 4 guys are sort of tripping each other up in sequence and making sure that the other guy can get their moves off because they're getting a surprise super kick or stuff like that. It was a really fun, crowd pleasing opener, which led to fall 2, starting with the Rudos in super control. And forgot to mention this from the start. This was a very pro Soberano Jr. crowd. This was a very, very pro Soberano Jr. crowd. They were into him. I don't know if it's just maybe it was just like, we're happy to see you back, or whatever it is. Whatever situation it is, they were cheering stuff that he did. They were really into him. And as usual, Atlantis Jr. was being booed out of the building. They were like, no, boo, we don't like you, kind of thing. And is it me? I don't know if you watched this match or not, but is it me, or is Atlantis Jr. slowly starting to show some rudo behavior in the ring? Are they finally going to, are they starting to show that Atlantis Jr. might just go full on rudo, as opposed to pretending like he's a technical and everyone loves him, when in fact, the Arena Mexico crowd is hotly against them? We'll have to see, but I feel like in this match, he had just little mannerisms and stuff that he did. I'm like, all right. The way he'd connect with the crowd seemed very arrogant, seemed very flustered to a degree, very rudo behavior. I don't think these were shoot reactions. I think it was still all part of the game, is what I'm saying. But I think there was absolutely signs that he might be slowly starting a turn for him to become to head more to the dark side. Anyway, during the second pinfall, or at least at the start, the Rudos are still very much in control, and man, Soberano Jr. is so good at it. He's just so tremendous at just garnering reactions, and he's very, very good. I can't put over enough how much I enjoy this man's in-ring stuff when it comes to his charisma and character work. So the Technicos win the second fall by doing a simultaneous pin and submission move. And so then we head to the third pinfall. Atlantis Jr. goes all out here, and he's doing the monkey flips and the backbreakers. Double dives by the Technicos. Michinoku driver by Angel de Oro. Tornado DDT by Titan. who is also very good. Titan is also super solid. Like, everyone is good in this match. Like, that's the thing, is like there are no slouches in this fucking match. Everything is great. Everyone is great. Angel Del Oro, Atlantis Jr., despite the fact that, you know, Arena Mexico doesn't want anything to do with him, he's fantastic. Titan is great. Soberano Jr. is great. Like, everyone is fantastic. Atlantis Jr. does a running crossbody, runs down the ramp into the ring. Things start coming to a head where Atlantis Jr., he submits Angel de Oro, but then Soberano Jr. tornillos Atlantis Jr. and pins him. So now we're down to one-on-one. We're down to Titan and Soberano Jr. And they have a bit of an exchange, but Soberano Jr. does his over-the-shoulder, like, sit down like a gonzo bomb type of situation, where he sits down with it's not quite a pile driver. Anyway, that's what he does, and he wins the match. And to rousing cheers. It was fantastic. It really was a top tier. It really was a top tier tag team match with some really great guys in here. Oh, and in between the pinfalls during the little rest period, the minis would go after it. You'd have Kimonito on one side, Kimalito on the other, and Kimalito would take out Kimonito in the first interaction that they had after the first pinfall, and then in the second pinfall, Kimonito would get his heat back and do some nasty stuff to Kimalito. I thought it was a lot of fun. 3 3/4 stars. Should I recommend it? Look, if you want to get on the Soberano Jr. train and you want to see how great of an in-ring performer he is, this is the match. This is absolutely a match that you need to check out. It's not required viewing, but I think it's really a great exposition of how tremendous he is at working the more entertainment part of it all. It was fantastic. I'm not going to lie. His work here was fantastic in a really good match. 3 3/4 stars. You won't be bored. It's a great multi-man lucha libre match with all sorts of people flying around and doing crazy shit to each other. So what more do you want? And the last match we're going to cover here is the main event of the Stardom Crimson Nightmare show that happened on November 3rd. Main event being the dual champion, the World of Stardom champion and New Japan Strong Women's champion Saya Kamitani, defeating, I should say, Momo Watanabe, who was challenging her after winning the 5-star Grand Prix. I thought this match had a good pace overall. I was expecting a lot of, maybe not a lot, but I was expecting a healthy dose of hate nonsense throughout the match, but we were completely clear of that. There was just one spot where there was a distraction so that Momo could use the bat on Saya, which proved to be inefficient, did not work out, did not get the win for Momo, but it was an interesting setup because Momo was in control of the majority of the match. It's almost as if Saya Kamitani was playing the babyface here to Momo's heel antics and heel moves. We literally had, Saya Kamitani hope spots in here that were crushed by Momo over and over until Saya got her big comeback and had a little exchange between the two, and which led to the final. And Saya hit the Sky Crusher for a second time to win the match. It was good. Like, it was a very good high level match where you could feel Momo was really desperate to win the title. Like, it came across really, really well, but I don't know, like, didn't reach that high of a level. Like, it was perfectly, it was extremely good. But, I guess when it comes to Saya Kamitani matches, I kind of expect them to be great. At this point, I expect it to just tear the house down. I don't know if it's, I don't know what the thing is. I don't know did this match just lack in heat, right? Which is possible, which in fact is a fair criticism to lay upon this match. They did nothing to make this match feel special. It is the 5-star Grand Prix winner coming in and getting a title shot at, not the biggest show of the year, just like a couple of weeks removed from Queendom, right? From Dream Queendom, just a couple of months removed from that, a couple of weeks at this point. And maybe that was the main issue. You end up with this match, which again is very high level, but then you also kind of shrug and you're like, but you end up with this match that feels like transitory. Because no, they hadn't revealed who Saya's opponent was going to be for Dream Queendom yet. They were going to do that after the match. But at this point, we still didn't know who her opponent was going to be. Well, we knew it wasn't going to be Momo. And, Saya's being advertised on the posters right now. There was no way she was dropping the title going into Queendom. So that took a lot of the drama away from the match as well. I don't think this was a particularly interesting spot of booking here from Stardom. I think it kind of took away from the drama of the match. You didn't necessarily feel like there was any infighting within the unit. You saw during the match, who was cornering who in hate, and I guess you can make your own headcanon in that regards, but like there was no, like I said, no infighting, no one struggling with each other. Just like, I don't know. It didn't feel like a big time match, which I think does a disservice to the 5-star. You could have the same criticism with how New Japan is handling how New Japan has been handling the G1 Climax winner, which typically would mean you're going to main event in the Tokyo Dome, but now for the past couple of years has been, well, I'll just challenge for the title like fucking Bipu, or wherever. You know what I mean? Like it takes away from a lot of the glamour of the victory. It doesn't feel as significant. I think Momo, ultimately what I'm saying here is that Momo Watanabe got a raw deal. I think she got a raw deal on this one. I think she's a solid performer. I think she's very good. And she was very good in this match. She was tremendous in this match. Saya was tremendous in this match. Saya did an incredible move during this, pretty much the spot of the match where she does a head scissors. She ranas Momo Watanabe, who's running towards her on the ramp. They're both on the ramp, and Momo's running towards her, and she ranas her off of the apron, so they both fall to the floor. It's an incredible bump. It's a great spot, and the match itself is solid. It's heavy-handed. It's like a big physical match towards the end. Where we get a series of roll-ups that is ended by a bastard driver by Momo Watanabe, and then they strike each other. And Saya Kamitani pulls out a blue thunder bomb. Watanabe fights back. She does a kamigoye. And Watanabe fights back, does a kamigoye. But Kamitani lands a sky crusher, but it's reversed into a suplex by Watanabe, which was fantastic. And as I said earlier, Kamitani wins with a sky crusher, the second sky crusher that she landed in the match, to get the victory, secure the titles, and make sure that Watanabe walks out of there with the L. So look, 3 3/4 stars for me for this match. I was more excited about this match. I was excited to watch the match. I was looking forward to it, and I saw it and was like, this is a very, very, very good match, but it's underperforming for me. It's just not quite that. And this was, it wasn't like it's not a show, a show that they're just pulling together on a tour somewhere. This is a pretty big show. They had Starlight Kid drop the Wonder of title, the Wonder of Stardom title against Konami earlier in the evening, which is a big deal in and about itself. So it had like this big show feel, but I feel like the main event didn't live up to. Not only wasn't it booked up to expectations, I feel it didn't quite deliver on the level, I guess, one would expect a Saya Kamitani match should, especially with Momo Watanabe, who is a tremendous wrestler and very, very good at what she does. Look, I don't know. I enjoyed it, but maybe not as much as I should. Am I being nitpicky here? Sure, why not? I'm reviewing. So that's part of the thing. But I'm done reviewing. Now we're going to wrap this grab bag up. If you haven't already, leave a like on the video. Thank you everyone for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Get all of the other reviews I do. Join the live streams. It's a good time here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. And if you have any recommendations of stuff that you would like me to review, leave your suggestions in the comments or write to me on Blue Sky at MrWarrenHayes.show. Or join the Discord. The link is in the description. Everything comes together. Thank you all very much for hanging out. Go watch some Randy Orton and get back to me, and I'll see you next time.